In today's video, I attempt to survive 100 days in a Lush Caves only world. With no passive mobs or essential Minecraft resources, things get quite interesting. I had 3 goals when I set out on this adventure: defeat the Ender Dragon, obtain full netherite armor and tools, and obtain a beacon, which of course means I need to defeat the Wither. If you do happen to enjoy today's video, then please do consider subscribing, as it really does help out the channel. I put a lot of time and energy into these 100 days. First day of my 100 days and I'm already scared, although the view is very nice. The first thing I decided to do was grab some glowberries. It's not the best food source, but it's all I have at this point in time. I immediately get jump scared by a baby zombie, so we were off to a great start. I managed to escape from the baby zombie relatively unscathed. Then I got extremely lucky and came across an azalea tree, which was my only source of wood. Whilst punching this tree, I wanted to mention as to why the world is actually so dark is because I'm currently using shaders. I did eventually turn it off. With some basic tools ready, I grabbed some cobblestone and immediately upgraded my tools, as I had no idea how long it would be before I saw another tree. I then found a single piece of iron, which came in very handy. Murdering a creeper as my first mob was also very satisfying. With what piece of iron I had found, I decided to make myself a shield. I continued on my adventure and came across my first skeleton. Crafting a shield was definitely the right call. Once again, I got incredibly lucky as the zombie dropped a potato. This was a game changer for sustaining me. I eventually found what seemed like a safe location to settle down and started growing some potatoes, if I could actually plant the potato without trying to eat it. Finally planted the potato and used what bone meal I had to grow some more. Scavenged some iron from the wall sides and found some copper. I figured a bucket would be pretty handy. I started excavating, then quickly realized I was too lazy for this and chose a different spot to settle down. I found what seemed like a pretty nice open area that wasn't shrouded in darkness. I returned to my temporary spot and grabbed my items. With all my items now on me, I settled down at my new chosen location and I would remain here for quite some time. With what iron I'd managed to find along the walls, I made some armor and tools and felt much safer already. Hunting skeletons is good fun and all until your axe breaks and you're beating zombies with a stone shovel. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Skeleton hunting was definitely worth it, as I managed to get some wood and grow some more potatoes. Bone meal was essential for my survival, which is why I decided to make myself a composter. It actually became quite useful. Oh, I also murdered the glow squid because they suck. It was now time to go mining. Using the iron I had found, I made a pickaxe in hopes that I would find some diamonds. Instead, I found some gold and an amethyst geode. But hey, we got a bow from the skeleton, which was pretty nice, and I guess we can make a spyglass too. Although a spyglass in this world isn't particularly useful. Day 4 was probably my favorite day. I carried on mining and I came across a decent looking cave. Yes, I actually struggled to find a cave in a cave world. There were plenty of resources here for me and I found my first diamonds. I don't know why, but nothing beats finding your first diamonds in a Minecraft world. I got even luckier because it was a vein of 8 diamonds. I was off to a good start. Carrying on my mining expedition, I found myself upon a mine shaft, which again had some pretty decent loot. Caving in this world is actually incredibly safe because it's constantly dark out, so I never came across any mobs whilst caving unless there was a spawner nearby. I found my first golden apple and an aqua infinity book, which would be very handy later on. Could someone actually please tell me the chances of this happening? I found a vein of 9 diamonds. I thought 8 was the max. I didn't even know 9 was possible. I didn't think I could get any luckier than this. It was at this point I really needed a bed. So I made a sword and grabbed some string. It would really help speed up my playing time. I also made a clock to help me track the time of day. B-dubs would be proud. I returned home with my many diamonds and crafted my first diamond pickaxe. Now I had a diamond pickaxe, I could finally gather some obsidian and craft an enchanting table. However, I had no paper or leather. That aqua infinity book was very handy. Finally, all my tools and armor was enchanted. Of course, I planted some more potatoes and the melon and pumpkin seeds I found. With my new enchanted pickaxe, I decided to head back into the caves to gather some more resources, and then I came across the most game-changing spawner. I found a skeleton spawner. This was going to make my life in the Lush Caves much easier. Plenty of wood, food, and I would have an experience farm. I now had a tunnel going to the skeleton spawner. It was actually pretty close. I gathered up some more food and made a flint and steel. I was ready for my first adventure into the nether. Of course, using the bucket method to make my portal. If you still mine for your obsidian, in the words of Etho, you're a sucker. We had reached the nether, except it was pitch black. Something went wrong with my shaders, so I decided to turn it off. I had completely forgotten about nether trees, so I decided to grab a little. I'm not sure why, but I get really lucky with my nether fortresses spawning right next to my portal, although the path towards the nether fortress was a little dangerous. Once again, I got incredibly lucky. I had made it to the fortress and I came across a wither skeleton. I got a wither skull from my first wither skeleton. However, my luck had quickly turned. I was attempting to obtain blaze rods and things were not going so well for me. I decided to take a break and do some piglin bartering. I got some pretty decent loot, so it was well worth the gold. That fire rest potion was all I needed. Gathering blaze rods was now far less risky. The nether fortress loot was also pretty good, good, found a couple diamonds, and most importantly, brown mushrooms. Without brown mushrooms, I can't make fermented spider eyes. In this world, they're even more rare than ancient debris. The Nether adventure was a success. Making a brewing stand was great and all, however, I had completely forgotten I had no way to obtain glass bottles unless I was lucky enough to come across a witch. It was at this point I also decided to keep shaders off for the remaining days. I attempted to find a witch, but not much happened. I did find some diamonds though. I'm not very good at trapping endermen in boats. This genuinely startled me. But I'm surrounded by water, so I was pretty safe, and I even got an ender pearl. It was time to work on my skeleton spawner, as I desperately needed bone meal and an XP farm. Skeleton spawners are very easy to do. Again, I had to get creative as I had no cow. So creating the water elevator to drop the skeletons was a little tedious. I had to do it bucket by bucket whilst constantly bouncing. I now had a fully functional bone meal farm and XP farm. I went AFK for a little bit and got 42 levels and a bunch of bones. I'm not sure why, but I love caving in Minecraft. I can happily spend a ridiculous amount of time caving. Just gathering lots and lots of resources is always satisfying to me, and we got a lot of diamonds too. Now that I had fully enchanted diamond armor, I was ready to tackle the blazes again. However, I got a little too confident. All I wanted to do was go home with 12 blaze rods. I can't catch a break in the Nether. I now had 5 eyes of ender, just needed some more ender pearls. It felt pretty horrible murdering my brethren, but it had to be done. I was attempting to find a new area and accidentally found my first ancient debris. Fun fact, whilst I was bartering with this piglin, my girlfriend was sat behind me when I fell into this hole. I gasped and she began to laugh at me. Made me feel so much better about myself. Ghasts are annoying. I'm glad I had a bow. Finally, a glass bottle, something I definitely needed, and 4 ender pearls from a piglin, which is always nice. I don't really know why I added soul speed, I never actually ended up utilizing it. I'm not a sucker, I'm gathering obsidian for an ender chest. Sometimes when you do a build, it's best to plan the build. I did not plan what I am about to build and I ended up disliking the build. You can see throughout this timeline I went through many different designs and I did not like any of them at all. My biggest problem was how limited I was with resources and space. I really didn't like it and I decided to leave the building for the time being. Current enchanting levels were quite low and I wanted better tools and armor. In order to achieve this I needed to find a stronghold as I'd be able to obtain books from a library. Oh, and I found a slime, pretty random. Eventually I found the stronghold, which was a nightmare to find. As you can see I only have 4 eyes of ender left. Floating vines, I guess? Inside the library was another skeleton spawner, although I didn't need it. I gathered as many books as I could carry. Then I got the best loot of all, an enchanted golden apple. I'm not sure I've ever been so consistently lucky in a Minecraft world. There was also a spider spawner in the area, and of course I took the music disc. After searching for some time, I found the end portal. I needed 5 more eyes of ender to complete the portal. I quickly started work on another portal so I had easy access back to the stronghold. I honestly thought it was further away, but I spawned right above my portal back home. After returning home, I got my enchanting station ready, gathered some XP and crafted a powerful bow. I was now ready to face the Ender Dragon. Whilst fighting this dragon, I realised something. Mojang really needs to add more difficult bosses or buff the current bosses. I barely had any trouble fighting the dragon. It was honestly too easy. I could have rushed in to kill the dragon, however I was in no hurry, so all I had to do was hang back and wait for the dragon to take flight. It took me a few minutes to kill the Ender Dragon with subpar gear. I would really love to see some buffs or an introduction of new Minecraft bosses that pose a real challenge. The dragon is just child's play now. Of course, I'll still take the dragon egg. Feather Falling 4 is probably one of the best enchantments you can get. Saved me countless of times. A decision needed to be made. Would I attempt to rebuild my home I didn't like? Nope, I abandoned it. I went back to my previous chosen spot and began to excavate and build, as I now had the tools and resources to do what I previously wanted to do. I have never built a cave base before, so I thought I'd give it a try. Also, it would allow me to completely avoid having to build a roof. The oak really wasn't doing it for me, so I thought I'd try some warped wood instead. Grabbed some more blackstone and found some more ancient debris, and got back to building, and I was really liking where this build was going, and I definitely preferred the warped wood instead of the oak. The contrast of colours was much nicer and not as harsh. Then I began working on my new enchanting area. I really enjoyed working on this, trying to create something a little magical and cozy. I really felt like I achieved that with this build so far. Day 35 wasn't an interesting day, as I spent the entire day gathering XP from my skeleton farm. My axe wasn't very good, it was time for a new one. Unfortunately, my luck wasn't so great. Second time was clearly the charm. I returned to the Nether to discover I wasn't invited to a party by my fellow Endermen. It was a little insulting to say the least. I will exact my revenge soon. Days 37 and 38 were spent looking for ancient debris. It was high time for some upgrades. 22 ancient debris isn't half bad for only spending 40 minutes looking for ancient debris. Is that good? I honestly have no idea. Unfortunately, I'd only just realised I had no gold, as I had previously used it all on piglin bartering. Once again, I needed to go mining. I found yet another spawner and some more music discs. My mining session was very successful. I had all the gold I would need to make my netherite ingots. We also got another 35 diamonds, still more exciting to me for some reason. While we wait for my gold to smelt, I thought we'd have a little jam. I was able to craft 6 netherite ingots, but not enough for all my tools. skills. I chose to upgrade my armor, sword and pickaxe as they were most important. I was in the mood for some more building. I began to expand my base, and that's a great thing about a cave base, you can make it as big as you want or need. This room was going to be my smelter room. A super smelter is always nice and convenient to have. This room would also very quickly become one of my favorites of the entire build. I just really love how everything came together here. The mixture of blocks and the lava behind the chains. I've never really experimented with darker blocks in the game, and it was honestly really good fun. I quite enjoyed this building session. The room came together very nicely. It was time to test out my ghetto super smelter. I really just threw something together. It wasn't perfect, but it worked and saved me a lot of time. Potato supplies were starting to run low. I needed a little farm to keep me going. Still being in the mood to build, behind my smelter I constructed a little shrine for my dragon egg, the holy dragon egg of doom. I was on the hunt. Unfortunately, no glass bottles from the witch. I was also searching for a zombie villager as I was in desperate need of villagers. Unfortunately, I had no such luck, but I did get to see a group of axolotls murdering a glow squid. I cheered them on. I returned home and I thought it would be fun to see how much of the copper would oxidize over time during the rest of our 100 days. At the time, I did not know spreading them 5 blocks apart is the most effective method. Pushing a zombie pigman into a portal is always fun. On a serious note, we're going end busting. Building over the void is genuinely terrifying. I'm at less risk fighting the ender dragon. After a full day of searching, I found an end city and a ship. Something very important I completely forgotten about with end cities and ships. They have glass and glass bottles. Oh, and I did grab the Elytra because why not? Gotta take the Ender Dragon head too. This has to be the most pathetic end city ever. The sword was a pretty decent find though. Now this is an end city and another ship. Obviously you can guess I looted it all. Yes, I skipped it. You've seen this all 1,000 times. Yes, I tried to make glass bottles. It didn't work. But hey, we got plenty of shulker boxes. With my new shulker boxes, I returned to the nether to obtain the final few pieces of ancient debris to upgrade a couple more tools. On my journey home, I saw the most adorable little axolotl. It had to be mine. My sword now had looting 3, which was very nice. And I upgraded my axe. With looting 3 on my sword, I was now ready to hunt for witherheads. Firstly, I wanted to build a safer route to my nether fortress. Once I had entered the nether fortress, I began to flatten it in hopes it would actually increase the spawn rate. Honestly, I'm not sure how much it helped. I was not getting any wither skulls. I needed a small break, so I decided to achieve hot tourist, which seemed to be a good omen because once I got back to wither hunting, I got the 2 wither skulls I needed within minutes. Remember, I only needed 2 as we got one when we first entered the fortress. This was an embarrassing moment. I did it wrong. Let's just forget that happened. Honestly, I'm going to say what I said earlier. These bosses are just too easy. Yes, the wither is more difficult out in the open, but bring it underground or trap it underneath an end portal is incredibly easy to deal with. You do have to be more careful with the wither as it can kill you very easily. However, with the enchanted golden apple, the wither stood no chance. During this fight, it only managed to hit me once, and that was because I got too close. At long last, we had our nether stuff. Let's just pause the video here. I was digging a large area in hopes that mobs would spawn, but I forgot it's always dark above, so no mobs would never spawn down here, so it was a waste of time, so let's just move on. Round 2 of searching for a zombie villager and a witch. Instead, I was met with an army of zombies and not a single zombie villager. This was going to be a lot harder than I realised, but lo and behold, I finally found a zombie villager. Now all I had to do was get this guy home without accidental death. I came quite close to deliberately killing the zombie villager myself. This was the most frustrating 20 minutes I've ever experienced in Minecraft. Time after time, the villager fell back into the water. I was genuinely concerned it would turn into a drown if I didn't kill it first. Finally, the zombie villager was on its way. It was home and safe. What I decided to do next I thought was a smart idea. I decided to build a mob farm in hopes I would get witch spawns. Firstly, I needed a cobblestone generator. I followed a really simple tutorial. I'll put a link in the description. I now had all the blocks I would need to build my mob farm. Again, there will be a link in the description. I went AFK as high as I could above my farm for a few minutes and there was no mobs in sight. Our mob farm did not work. This was unfortunately due to how dark the Lush Caves world is. My next plan of action was to light up the surrounding areas as much as I could in hopes that I would increase the spawn rates. However, on my lighting expedition I came across another zombie villager, so I made sure it was safe and got back to work. I couldn't believe my luck. I found another zombie villager, but this one may or may not have been accidentally killed by my bow. My luck continued. A witch just dropped everything I needed. Looting 3 is amazing. All that time I had spent trying to create a mob farm was now rendered useless, as I no longer needed it and it also didn't work. Finally, weakness potions to cure my zombies. I love that sound. Well, that's frustrating. One attacked the other before being cured. Let's do this again, shall we? Whee! Now let's begin the annoying process of trying to get mending. Hey, don't push me. For my second villager, I turned it into a farmer for golden carrots and emeralds. I made sure that I had a potato trade, made a potato farm, and now I could get as many emeralds as I wanted. I was still having problems getting mending. Turns out the villager was eyeing up the grindstone, and soon after I finally got mending. Now here I made a huge mistake by trading my paper. That was all the paper I had, and I should have saved it for my rockets later on. Popped mending on my armor and finally unlocked the glass trade. I could finally craft my beacon. Much trading later, all my armor and tools were fully repaired. I did also use my XP farm. I promise this is the last time I go hunting for ancient debris. I only need 3 ingots for my other tool. By day 80, I'd finally upgraded all of my tools. I even crafted a netherite hoe for that serious dedication. It was worth it. Nether quartz to this day is still a great way of getting XP. I just wanted to enchant my hoe because why not? My next task was to create the full beacon, though I didn't have enough iron. Before gathering the resources I would need, I decided to build my little axolotls a home so they're just not sat inside my ender chest. My little axolotl friends were very happy with their new home, or at least I hope they were. Just adding some extra details to my base. I know I don't personally need the signs telling me what's what, but I just thought it'd help the base feel a bit more interesting. Like I said, I love mining, but this time we had to go mining to get those last few resources we'd need to complete our beacon. We had a fair amount of resources, however I would need to make another trip later on as I still didn't have enough iron. In hindsight, I should have just made an iron farm. Whilst the iron was smelting, I decided it was time to exact revenge on the party I wasn't invited to. So yeah, I murdered everyone. I think I handled it quite well, all things considered. Yeah, we still didn't have enough iron blocks. I needed a break from mining. As much as I like skeleton farms, the XP consumption is a little on the slow side. The best XP farm is obviously an enderman farm. The first thing I needed to do was drop lava until it stopped flowing and then use water, go down the water stream and place some leaf blocks. Luckily, I was smart and grabbed my elytra and used what paper I had left to make some rockets just in case. Last thing that needed to be done was spawn in our ugly little friend who I named You're Ugly. I think it's a very apt name for an endermite. Our enderman farm was complete. I went home and did some enchanting and made myself a power 5 bow. Then the weirdest thing happened to me. I am not on the nether roof. I went through my portal to go back to the end to get some more XP, and somehow I ended up on the overworld roof. I was genuinely baffled and confused. I thought it was just a fluke, so I tried again. This was very weird. Let's try moving my portal instead. Nope, that didn't work either. Then I found a giant hole in the bedrock and turns out I could get onto the overworld roof without a portal. Remember, this isn't an ordinary Minecraft world, but this was still really weird. I just wanted to check my portal. Luckily, no bedrock shenanigans were happening here. In order to get back to my end portal, I would have to find it again. Let's see what happens if we go through the portals again. I still end up on the bedrock roof. Honestly, I have no way to explain this. It just happened. I don't even know how. Eventually, I just decided to go back into the end as I couldn't fix the portal problem and get some XP from my enderman farm. Firstly, I decided to light some of the iron to help increase the spawn rates of my farm. This XP farm is honestly a little ridiculous. I love it. Having a crazy XP farm was incredibly useful. Getting better tools was no longer a problem. With my upgraded pickaxe, I went on another mining expedition. Let's just say I did some mining off camera. We ended up getting a stack and a half of diamonds, which was an incredibly satisfying number to hit. Honestly, I thought this would be enough iron for our beacon. I mean, surely this had to be enough iron, right? Before building the beacon, I cleared up an area ready and made sure that the beacon could pass through the land. Yeah. We still didn't have enough iron. Not to flex, but the top of my beacon was made out of diamonds. Yeah, okay, it's a flex. Nothing to see here, just a man using his gold to complete his beacon because he didn't have enough iron. I really should have just made an iron farm. Beacon done. You know what that means? I can finally test the full potential of my stone farm. It was satisfying. It was time to go check out my copper progress. My goodness, copper takes such a long time to oxidize. I placed these down around 50 days ago. Struggling with iron doors seems to be an issue of mine. However, I wanted to finish off my dragon shrine and added some diamond blocks to complete the room. I added a lush green carpet in the front room, created the dragon headstand, and accidentally vandalized my old build that I hated. It was time to take my final sleep. Day 100. I survived 100 days in a Lush Caves world only. What a journey it's been. Granted, I made a lot of mistakes and I wish I had done things differently, but I had fun regardless, and I really do hope you enjoyed today's video. I put a lot of time and effort into this 100 days, so please do consider leaving a like and subscribing for more, as it really does help out the channel. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.